Hi, pretty girl. How's my baby? How's my pretty falcon? Such a good girl. Yes, you are. Hi, pretty girl. How's my baby?
Oh, here we are.
Are we live?
We can call it that.
All right. Well, good morning. I'm Martin Tyner with the Southwest Wildlife Foundation, and my beautiful assistant here, wildlife ambassador. This is Helen, our Peregrine Falcon that we use for our wildlife programs, and Helen and I have been going through kind of a similar thing together. She's for those that watch us regularly, that Helen was hatched with a vision impairment, and so she was unable to see very well at birth. She can see a little bit, but not very much. And for those who've been following us, you know that I just went through cataract surgery 3 days ago, and we're healing up from that. And we're here to visit with everybody and answer your questions about the foundation, the wildlife rescue facilities that we're working on, the birds that we're caring for. So if you've got any questions ready, DG, we'll go ahead and kick right into the questions.
Yeah, we've got two questions that people mailed in. Here, the first one is from Teresa. She asks, could an optometrist scan Helen's eyes to get the curvature and then design lenses that can be put in a lightweight hood to improve her eyesight? It would not be perfect, but she would be able to see further and not be as scared by noises. She has no idea if it's a threat or not.
Well, the truth of the matter is there's a lot of issues with that. The first problem that you have is when you put a hood over their eyes for an extended period of time. Some birds will just sit quietly and go back and go to sleep with the hood because it's dark and they feel safe. Uh, but if the hood is on for an extended period of time and they're bored, they will what we call kick the hood, which means they'll get their foot up and they'll start scratching at it to flip the hood off. And so if we did have corrective lenses in a hood for her, it would be something that she would probably have to wear, all the time. And I don't think she would tolerate that. So that's would be difficult and would be very expensive to buy her a hood with new glasses every few days.
Okay, we have a question from Linda. Hope you're recovering well after surgery. My question is, what are the signs of heat stroke in animals and birds?
With the heat stroke, and yes, thank you very much. As you may have noticed, I am not wearing my glasses at the moment, so things are coming along well. But the heat stroke is the birds become dehydrated. They do pant just like dogs do pant. They become lethargic. They don't want to move, and the we need to get them their cool down as quickly as possible to lower their body temperature and start hydrating them with fluids in order to get their system running again. So yeah, heat stroke is a very very bad thing, and you can lose them very very quickly. Eagles especially, because eagles are really designed when it gets hot to go soaring. They go up 10, 20, even 30,000 feet, where it's nice and cool to soar around in the daytime hours to stay out of the heat when we've had such oppressive heat here today or this summer. So some of the birds, like Belle the Harris hawk, she's native to southern Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So the heat doesn't bother them nearly as well. They're designed for the heat, where some of the other birds, you've got to be very careful. So my golden eagle scout, when I go and do my programs, the first thing I do when I walk into a venue is I says, can we cool this place down? They've got it for energy efficiency. They've got it set at 75, 78 degrees. And I says, no, let's get this thing cooled down to 70. And then even at that, I watch him very, very carefully for any signs of stress from heat. And when you're doing programs, there's a lot of stress when you're standing in front of an audience of two, three, four, 500 people. You want to make sure that the bird is kept calm and doesn't overexert itself because the overexertion causes it to overheat as well. So we just have to take very close care of the animals to make sure that they don't get hot. And if they do start to overheat, we put them away where it's again dark and cool and stress free.
Well, we just got a comment here from Lori. Good luck on your surgery. Mine was 7 months ago. No problem. Easy peasy. Thank you very much for showing all of your birds and wildlife. You are a blessing. I'd love to visit.
Oh well, thank you so very very much. I had my first eye surgery last Wednesday, and it was a little bit rougher. My lens in my eye had stiffened. Not only was the cataract, but the flexibility wasn't there anymore as well, and so it was a little more difficult to break up the lens inside and to be able to vacuum it out and so it just took a little bit longer, but things are going well. Like I said, I will have my left eye done this coming Thursday, and so uh, lots of little milestones. And if anybody wants to talk about my eye surgery and what it's all about, I'd be happy to do that, or talk about the birds because that's what everybody loves is the critters, huh, baby girl?
So we got a question from Stephen P. How is the new facility progressing? And then we've also got some footage here to share of some aerial shots of the Enoch property. So I'll go ahead and show that while you answer the question.
Absolutely. This is our property. You see the building at the top of the frame. That is the Enoch Animal Shelter, where the cars are parked out front. That area is the new property, and off to the right, the grassy area is the dog park. So that's our property that we're building. Right now, we have already contracted with the fencing company to get the property fenced. It was supposed to have been fenced this week, but we've had the monsoon come in and just torrential rains on out there. So the fencing didn't get to go up this week. We are still working with contractors uh, to get the bids for the Eagle Flight Chamber. The Eagle Flight Chamber's the first part of the complex, and it's going to be two flight chambers in one building, and the flight chambers, each one will be 20 feet wide and 100 feet long. And so we're working with contractors for that, trying to working on getting some bids. I believe if things go well, and in construction, I mean, how often do things go well in construction? But if things do go well, I am really hoping to have a usable, at least the Eagle Flight Chamber facilities up and running by this time next year. And so the new eagle that I've got in right now, I got a new golden eagle in that was dying from dehydration and heat stroke and starvation, and it's doing yeah. There's our baby. It's doing very very well. It's in my flight chamber now. That's 10 feet by 40 feet, and it's recovering nicely and it's eating and everything looks terrific. And so he's going to be released uh, probably uh, once we get into August and the heat is no longer an issue. He'll be released to the wild. So stay tuned, and if you guys would like to come up, we'll let you know when the eagle release is going to be, and we'll invite everyone to come and join us as we put that big, beautiful male golden eagle back in the wild where he belongs.
Well, should we look at the first release of the Enoch property? The little video we got?
Absolutely. This is our very first release at the Enoch property, and as you can see, we got here right here. It was actually quite windy, more so, but this is just kind of symbolic. This is the first of many animals that we will rescue and release back to the wild from our Wildlife Foundation facilities in Enoch. But we just had this little guy and thought, well, what the heck? Let's just let him go and go back to the wild where he belongs, just out there. Because the nice thing about the property, there we go,
There she goes. Real fast.
just blasted out of there. Isn't that beautiful? And as you can see, we've got a lot of territory around us that is open. And this was a Cooper's hawk, and so it was perfectly good. There's some trees not too far away, and he just headed over to the trees and settled in to kind of understand what's going on. So that's our first official wildlife release at the new property here in Enoch, Utah.
That reminds me, there's a questions a lot about how come sometimes you just open the kennel and other times you actually throw the animal off, well, flying animal off.
Well, for a couple of reasons. Some animals, like that little Cooper's hawk, they're very nervous. They're very high strung, uh, and they do get stressed when we have to grab them. And so birds like that, sometimes it's just easier just to go ahead and just open the door and let them fly away. Uh, Other animals, reaching in and grabbing them is not as stressful. They can deal with it a whole lot better. Such things as like red-tailed hawks and golden eagles and Swainson's hawks and horned owls. There's a lot of birds that we can just kind of pick up and throw. And what that does, especially if we're doing a public release where the public can come in and see this, it gives me an opportunity to pick up the animal and educate the public, talk about where the animal came from, um, the injuries that it had sustained, or if it was orphaned, or what the problem was, why it was in our possession, and then it's a little bit more interesting and dramatic to take the animal and throw it back up into the sky and let it go. And so it's when I hold the animals and just throw them up and release them, or I have a volunteer do that, uh, it's it's to help educate the public. Um, but when it's just me and Susan and a little high strung Cooper's hawk, that it was just a much easier thing just to open it up and say goodbye.
Okay, someone asked, have you ever had a bird fly out of the chamber after opening the door?
I have these birds, especially look like that Cooper's hawk. They're extremely quick and they're extremely agile. And the smallest crack in the door, boy, they will squeak through. And so in our chambers that we have here, uh, the smaller bird chambers, we have basically what we call a weathering yard, which is a fenced-in area that's fenced on the tops and on all three or four sides, so that if it does blast past me, it doesn't get out in my neighborhood where it may not be appropriate for the bird to be released. And so that's kind of a safety measure to make sure that we do get the bird taken out to an appropriate place and a safe place to release it.
You know, another question we've seen a lot since the Roadrunner video is if those Roadrunners will stay together out in the wild.
Well, to some degree, they'll certainly stay in the general vicinity, and there are other roadrunners out there. And that's kind of one of the reasons I picked that location is, I've been out there many times, and I have had the pleasure of getting really short glimpses of roadrunners kind of moving through the brush. So it's good habitat for them. Whether they're going to be hanging out as friends, yeah, probably not. They'll all kind of they're going to be committed to finding food for themselves, not necessarily to socialize.
So after the morning critter feeding video, we had some people that were curious about your culinary skills for humans.
Oh yes, no. The question was, do I cook for Susan? And the answer is yes. I'm not a gourmet cook, but I can scramble an egg, and I can make a pretty mean uh, plate of spaghetti, and I'm fairly good at barbecue and steaks. So yeah, I do. I cook for Susan. Do we have a little photograph of that?
Yeah, we have a little video proof from Susan right here, just a little snippet.
And cooks me
Okay.
breakfast every day after he takes care of the critters. I am so lucky. Delicious, healthy breakfast.
All right, just a little bit from way back.
So yeah, there's little proof, and I'm not supposed to tell anybody this, but Susan and I are partners, and we share in all the household chores. So I do the laundry. I've washed the dishes. I vacuum the living room. I do the dusting, and when Susan's around, she does the same thing. So we share in all the household chores equally.
So a comment here from Win said the Roadrunners were amazing. Thanks so much for that video.
You're very welcome. And it was a great pleasure for me personally. This is the first time in my 50 plus years of caring for sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife that I've had the opportunity to raise roadrunners. I have.
Uh-oh, we got a freeze on my side. Well, let's try this. We're going to run a little video here. Let's look at the eagle. And it looks like Martin is frozen in what he's sending us. So we'll watch the eagle for a little bit and see if he tries to dial back in once he figures out he's frozen. And I guess I can take this chance also. I'll share with you that our channel musician, Casey, you guys know he does all awesome, cool music at the end. He has a new EP out, and we've made a page for him at our site. It's gowildlife.org/Casey. And you can check out and hear music from his new EP. And Martin's feed just disappeared, so let's see what happens. Hopefully he'll call back in and we can get this going again. And here we can also talk about, look, Healer of Angels. I bet most of you here already know it. See, had I known that we were going to see this eagle, I would have put some of Casey's music on this video, but that's all right. Oh, we got Martin joining again. Let's see if we can bring him back. Guest is in green room. Okay, let's bring him in. All right. Okay. Hi, Martin.
I
Are you back?
apologize. Some technical difficulty. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear
Good.
me? I guess you can.
I can hear you just fine.
We did it. We looked at the eagle while you were out doing what you were doing.
Okay. My internet here is horrifyingly slow, and I've got a falconer friend of mine that flies eagles in Mongolia, and he herds reindeer in Mongolia. That's his business, and he lives in a yurt, and he has far better internet connection than I do. So every once in a while, things just kind of disappear on us.
Well, we got some questions. Whoop. We got my dog making noise here. They've got a treat and they're fighting after it. So we got a question from Randall. He asked me, but who put together the recent Roadrunner video? That was really special. And that kind of deserves that is interesting because you sent a lot more video for that one than you have for a lot of things for a long time.
Well, Susan and I did the videoing of the Roadrunner, but then DG, who's with us here today, actually put the whole thing together for us and posted for us, and so she deserves tremendous credit for all of her hard work for the foundation.
That's all you got to say about it.
What else do you want me to say?
It was just really unusual because you've never had the little babies like that. You guys have never sent that much footage. That was like an hour and 10 minutes long. That's like the longest video we've ever uploaded, and it's actually doing really well.
Yeah, and I guess the problem was when I was off air, I had explained all that, and until I realized that I was off air. But yes, I have in my 50 years of caring for sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife, this is the first clutch of baby roadrunners I've ever had the opportunity to care for. I've rescued several roadrunners that were adults, but this is the first babies that I've ever had that opportunity. These particular baby roadrunners, their mother got hung up in the nest she had brought in some string or twine or something along those lines for nesting material, and it got wrapped around her leg, and she got hung and died. And so a nice couple were knew about the roadrunner nest. We kind of walked by and stayed a distance away and peek with a pair of binoculars to see if they could spot the babies in the nest. And they were very, very much invested in that nest of roadrunners. And when they found the mother, uh, dead and dying from being hung, they called us up, and so we took them in, and just was such an interesting animal. I called them my little velociraptors, and they truly were just beautiful little dinosaurs, and just was one of the funnest animals I've ever had the opportunity to care for and release.
And we also got a question from Sam the man. This was while you were gone. He asked, "How is Martin feeling since surgery?" So we were talking about you behind your back, basically.
Okay. Well, things are coming along good. Uh, the some interesting little milestones. After the surgery, you watch some videos about cataract surgery, and the propaganda ones are going, oh yeah, they rolled me out of the operating room and I immediately had perfect vision and how wonderful it was, and it was absolutely pain free, and it only took 10 minutes, and all of that stuff. And that's, for some people, I'm sure that's true. For me, you know, uh, it there was no pain, and so let me make that perfectly clear. There was no pain. The eye drops sting a little bit when they put them in your eyes, and you get a whole bunch of eye drops, and so that's a little discomfort. The procedure itself, you're laid down, and they've got a microscope with a bright light in your face, and so all you can see is the bright light. You can't see any of the instruments they're using. All you see is the bright light. Because my cataract had started to become stiff, and so not only was it cloudy, but was becoming stiff in the eye. That it required a little bit more effort to get it to break up, so that they can suck it out with a very tiny vacuum out of your eye. And so there was a little bit more interior trauma in the eye than what most perfect cataract surgeries go through. But and again, there was no pain. It just took a little bit longer because of the extra effort. Because what they do is they cut two little slits in your eye, one on the side and one at the bottom, and they put the instruments through these little teeny tiny 2 millimeter slits. Well, because of all the movement around, one slit had been kind of opened up a little bit more than normal, and so I had to have a stitch or two put in my eye. Where most cataract surgeries, you don't need a stitch at all. They just kind of push the slit closed, and you heal up and everything's fine. So mine was just a tiny bit worse than what we had anticipated, but everything was fine. Again, it wasn't a painful situation at all. And as far as my vision is concerned, they put a clear plastic patch over your eye, so you can't. It's clear, so you can see through it, but it's not clear like looking through glasses. And so when they rolled me out of surgery, my this eye that hasn't been worked on yet, that'll happen on Thursday. But that eye, I didn't have my glasses, and so I couldn't see very well. And they rolled me in, and Susan was being silly, and she videoed them rolling me into the recovery room. So I've got this silly little surgical hat on. I know. Everybody gets to laugh at how ridiculous I look. Um, but, all in all, it went really well.
It's
The
payback for all the time you put birds in hoods. Now we put you in a hood.
That's true. Absolutely. And realistically, the first 8 to 10 hours, you're getting over all of all the chemicals that they put in your body. You know, your eye is anesthetized, and they give you some little chemical in an IV to help keep you relaxed. And so really the first 8 hours or so, you just want to lay back in a dark, quiet place and rest, and that's what I did. Yeah, but I actually I should take that back. I did that for about an hour, but then I had to go out and do my midday feedings with all the animals and give everybody food and water. But after my chores, then I came back and rested until evening and to go back and do my evening chores. And so, you can, I mean, right after surgery, you can do, mild stuff. You don't want to go run a marathon, huh? But you can do your normal little chores and stuff. So
We
that
have
that
a
was good.
so we have a comment from Mark Housekeeper. I think Martin should be wearing a hood after his eye surgery. It might calm him down.
Ah, well, you're probably right, Mark. How's your new baby bird doing?
We've also
So anyway,
we've also got a
go ahead.
comment from Tony. After I donated, I was frozen for a second. Can you confirm and receive my donation? And yes, I can confirm received a donation. I'm sorry, actually, I should have mentioned other ones. We started with one from TF, and then we also got one from Win of $20, and then we've got Tony's donation of $10. So I'm sorry I did. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, another Light Expeditions sent us $5. And remember, all these donations through YouTube, because we're a nonprofit in their like registered with their system and all that, they cover all of expenses. So we get absolutely every single penny of your donations.
Absolutely. So thank you everyone for being so kind and generous. All that money goes to help feed the critters, and so we greatly appreciate it. And right now, um, virtually every one of our chambers have got patients in them, and so this has been a very, very busy summer taking care of critters. So we've been going through a lot of food really fast. So your donations help tremendously.
Okay, we have a comment from David E. With your falconry, have you used any falcons and goshawks? Have you rehabbed any? What are gear falcons? Gear falcons, is that right? Gear falcons?
Deer,
Gear falcons.
deer falcons. Um, I have not Well, no, I have. I did rehab a deer. I did. Um, I've certainly rehabbed goshawks and peregrines. I have personally flown goshawks and peregrines and one jeer. I did have a jeer falcon that was kind of a sad situation. It was brought to me by the the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources, and it's my understanding, because I wasn't part of the court case and everything else. It was my understanding that the bird had been smuggled out of Canada and brought into North America illegally, and I don't I don't have any of the details as to the situation, but they ended up arresting the person, confiscating the bird, and the gyr falcon needed to be exercised to get it fit enough to be reintroduced back to the wild. And so I had this gray gyr falcon uh, for about 3 months, and I lure flew it, just worked its wings off, building its strength and endurance. And then in the wintertime, during their normal migration, where they actually migrate down into northern Utah, I drove it up to the Utah Idaho border uh, and released it so that it could migrate back north. So I did do one great year, but I certainly have done my share of peregrines, like Helen here.
So we just got two more donations, an anonymous donation of $20, and Amanda Price is with us, and she just donated $10.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Anonymous. We again appreciate all of your kindness and generosity.
And since we're about a half hour in, maybe we should talk about the building names.
Yeah, we are right now. We're taking people's suggestions to name our new wildlife rescue center here in Enoch. and we've had some wonderful suggestions, but we're still accepting names suggestions. So
Do you want
if
me
you
to
do have a name suggestion,
do you want me to go over the ones we've got so far?
sure.
Okay, so Sue B says name after Martin's grandfather. Maria says the Tyner Raptor Center. By the way, I vote for that one too. Christine, doing good today for critters. Lady Figment says healer of angels. Fran says dedicated to grandparents, Waters Tyner Center. NA says Angels Healing Center. Dark Jerry, the Healing Nest. TS says Healing Waters Wildlife Center. Helene says Martin Tyner Facility, and then AE says named after Martin, Scout, and Susan.
Yeah, like I said, just very sweet, wonderful. I appreciate all of your suggestions, and we kind of have purposefully not picked a name yet because I wanted to give everybody an opportunity if they have a name that they think would be perfect, and we may I'm not sure how we're going to pick the name. We may just put it up for a vote and have all of you. Um, you know, pick the name that you think the best by majority rules, or we may just stick them in a hat, or my board of directors might pick them. I'm not sure how we're going to pick the name, but we do want to pick a name for our new wildlife rescue center.
We can't just stick them in a hat. That'd be crazy.
So
That'd be like
again,
we'll take all the suggestions and then we'll divide them up word for word. Then we'll put all the words in a hat and then we'll just randomly choose 5 words out with a name.
there you go.
No, not gonna
There you go.
happen.
So yeah, again, this is so exciting. Um, with Enoch stepping up like they did, they've leased us the property for $1 a year for the next 100 years. And so that basically secures the property for us. And not only $1 a year for the next 100 years, but in the rental agreement, they have given us the option to pick up the lease 2 more times. And so that's basically the property for our wildlife rescue center is secured for the next 300 years. And I just can't thank Enoch enough. When you think about this, I did not go to Enoch and ask them to help us get property. In fact, what we were doing is trying to find a piece of property that we could purchase, because the Cedar City project wasn't going to work, and so I was looking at different pieces of property outside of Cedar City, but close, either Enoch or the county areas. And I went and talked to Enoch and explained the situation and that we need to move. And that's when Enoch stepped up and says, "Hey, we love who you are. We love what you do. You've been such a great asset. All of the educational programs that you provide to our schools and our scouts and everybody. Um, Please go look at these pieces of property, and if any of this will work for you, please come back and let's talk about it and let's see what Enoch City can do for your organization." And wow, that's I can't thank the good people here in Enoch enough for their kindness and generosity and support of our organization.
So we got a name suggestion in from Sam the Man, the Martin and Susan Tyner Rehabilitation Center.
Okay,
And then
wonderful. Yeah, well, go ahead.
from Maria, we got the Tyner Wildlife Rescue Center.
Okay.
And then we got an interesting one, comment here from Dimitri. He says he's unable to donate from South Africa according to YouTube. That's a drag. We weren't aware of that. Very sorry to hear. I guess maybe it's only U.S. people or within certain regions. So
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Um, we can accept literally donations as far as if you write a check or do a bank draft kind of a check and then mail it to us. we can't accept donations through the mail. And this is actually one thing I really wanted to thank some very special people, um, like the gentleman from South Africa that has contacted us. I know he sent us an email a time or two, and we appreciate that, his kindness. But all of you folks, literally around the world, um, your kindness and your care for Susan and I and the animals that we rescue has literally meant the world to me. The uh, the the evening after my surgery for my right eye, I was sitting at home, and this is why I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. I was sitting at home in the evening time, and my telephone rings from you folks, literally around the world. I had a, a gentleman call me on the telephone who was a heart surgeon in Saudi Arabia, and he just called me on the phone, clear from Saudi Arabia, and just basically says, "Mr. Tyner, how are you feeling? Is there anything that I can help you with about your surgery? And I just want to check up on you because I love what you do." I had phone calls from Hawaii. I had phone calls from back east and up in Washington State, and so I can't thank you folks enough for your love and concern for everything uh, with Susan and I. And yes, we are trying to take care of ourselves. Like I said, we're doing the surgery, and I guess something that really dawned on me, um, and this dawned on me, I think, yesterday. Basically about 2 days after my surgery, and my eyes doing better, and I'm starting to see things better. Close vision isn't great yet, but my distance vision is doing really well. And I was out doing my chores with taking care of the animals, and it was just sunrise. The sun was coming up, and the sky was blue, and the and everything was brighter. Just with the one eye, and I've got the second one to do coming up. With everything in my world looked nicer. It was a little bit brighter. Everything was a little bit clearer, and it was it was such a good feeling to sit here with Helen on my glove, and at this distance, um, up without glasses, she was a blur. But now I can see how absolutely beautiful she is with my bare eyes, and I see little tiny details that that you don't really notice if your vision isn't good. And so I'm very grateful that that I've had the opportunity to get the cataract surgery done, um, and I think it lifted my spirits and made me feel a little more positive about everything in my life. And so I thank you guys for being so kind.
So M127 asked, is that Cody wolfing or DG's dogs?
Well, it's not Cody because Cody's with Susan at our dog grooming shop, and so it's probably DG's dogs that are woofing a little bit.
Okay, we should probably mention about as far as on the building that we have a new shirt.
Oh, absolutely. Can you show the new shirt? Um, this is a this is going to be really a limited edition. This is a shirt that we're going to do as a fundraiser for our wildlife rescue facility, and that picture that you saw right there, that is our raptor rescue facility that we are building, the concept drawing, and so we're going to sell some of these shirts to help raise money for the facility. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to take photographs of the facility in its different stages and do a new shirt. So we'll literally have a collection. If anybody wants to collect our Critter First shirts, we'll have a whole collection of the facility from just the property and each stage of construction going up until the new facility is built.
And you can get those at Teespring, and the links are in the description. Okay. A question from Laura. I'd love to get into rehab. How do we start training?
One of the problems with rehab is most state fishing games and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service consider wildlife rescue as biologically insignificant, and so they really don't want people doing this, and so they do make it very, very difficult. Currently, what you have to do is you have to work for a wildlife rescue facility as a volunteer for like 2 years to get your time in, and then if you want to start your own facility, you have to establish yourself as a 501c3 nonprofit, and I believe there's some written tests that need to be passed, and then you have to build the appropriate facilities, and each facility has its own specifications as to size of the facility. So it gets very, very, very complicated. But if you have a rescue facility, are you getting your exercise, sweetie? Yes, you are. So if you've got a rehab facility in your area, then the best thing to do is to volunteer and start getting your time and experience in.
We got a comment from Wynn. Did you see the $200 donation from Randall? And no, we didn't. So thank you for letting us know. We've got a $200 donation from Randall Cotton, as well as another $20 donation from an anonymous person.
Well, thank you, Randall. That's oh my gosh, that's so incredible. That means a great deal to us and our anonymous donor as well. Thank you. Again, all of these donations help us care for the critters, and again, we're so excited with that the new facility is finally going to get built, get this off the ground, and we will have a wildlife rescue facility here, like I said, if all goes well, for the next 300 years, and we need it. We really need a stable facility as things continue to progress, and we get more and more buildings built and houses built and communities built. The wildlife needs some place to go to be cared for.
We've got a question from Lane L. Have you considered having people sponsor a bird? Just another way of bringing in funds. I think your white-bellied bald eagle may need some good sponsors.
We have thought about that. We just it's one more thing that I would need a volunteer to head up, and we talked about that over the last many years. And Susan and I are so busy with everything that we do, and DG is so busy with everything that she does, that I haven't had someone come up and say, "Hey, I want to handle this part of the donations, where we will have different animals being sponsored, and will provide photographs and stories and information that we would mail back to the person making the donations, and that's just one more thing we just haven't quite been able to get someone to help us with."
Color the Pup says, I live beside a river and a bald eagle has moved close by my house. Should I be worried about the safety of chickens and cats?
The truth of the matter is, bald eagles are primarily a fish eater. I mean, they will scavenge, and if they have an opportunity that's just flat too good, they might even try to take something. But generally speaking, they would prefer to fish, and they would prefer to eat something that's already dead. And I know I have people come in here the Peregrine Falcon's a great example. People move here to southern Utah, and we have a large peregrine population here in southern Utah, and they'll decide they're going to raise, homing pigeons, and so they raise this big flock of homing pigeons, and they're allowing their pigeons to fly uh, around the neighborhood and that kind of stuff, and it attracts the peregrine falcons, and they call me on the phone, says, a falcon just killed my pigeon. What are you going to do about it? And he says, well, the truth of the matter is, you moved into peregrine falcon habitat, and so I greatly appreciate that you're providing a good food source for them. But that is who they are, and that is what they do. In fact, I had one falconer, or he's a falconer now, but I had one individual who was really big into homing pigeons, and we had that very same conversation. What are you going to do about these falcons? And so I went to his house and I looked over the situation. And I says, every pigeon breeder that I know has pigeons that aren't quality pigeons that they cull out of their flock every year. And he says, yeah. And I says, okay, here's what I want you to do. Turn your junk pigeons loose first. And so let the pigeons that are not your prized racers, put those pigeons out first thing in the morning. And the peregrine falcons will come in first thing in the morning, and they'll catch one of your pigeons and take the pigeons back to their nest to feed their young. And then you can release your good pigeons. And it became literally a neighborhood spectacle, where at 7 o'clock in the morning, this gentleman would go out to his pigeon loft, release his pigeons, and all the neighbors would come out of their homes and stand there with their binoculars and watch. And within 5 or 10 minutes, there would be a beautiful peregrine falcon like this one, 1,000 feet in the sky over the neighborhood. And when the falcon got its shot, he would roll over, dive vertically 200 miles an hour, and kill a pigeon, knock the pigeon dead to the ground. The falcon would fly in, grab the pigeon, and take off and go back to its nest. And the neighborhood became just in love with the peregrine falcons. And this gentleman that raised homing pigeons decided this was a whole lot more fun than homing pigeons, and he became a falconer. So a little bit of an adaptation, and we can work within the environment.
Okay, we've got a couple questions about Helen. First one from Ravens. Is Helen a peregrine?
Helen is a peregrine falcon, and she is an anatom peregrine. We have 3 peregrines in North America. We have the anatom, the tundra, and the Peel's peregrine. The anatom peregrine here was the endangered species. She was the one that in the late 60s almost went extinct. And we've saved the peregrine falcon. Their populations are actually higher than they were in the 1940s, so they're completely recovered. And the peregrine falcon is now have been removed from the endangered species list. So this is one of the first animals on the planet to have been successfully recovered and removed from the endangered species list. So this is the anatom, and very, very beautiful birds, and they are native here to southern Utah.
Soren asks, how can you tell a bird is low vision?
Well, it's actually relatively simple. I can put her food down within 3 feet, and she'll immediately go, jump over and get her food. If the food is 6 feet away from her, she can't find it. And so I can set the food 6 feet away from her, and then set her down, and she'll start walking around trying to and not be able to find her food. So we know she's low vision.
David E. adds, if you're still taking names for the new facility, how about Helen's friends for her disabilities?
Absolutely. We'll certainly add that to our list, and thank you. That's wonderful.
And we've got a comment from CD. Hi there, Martin, with your beautiful falcon, Helen. Wish you all the best in life. Greetings and love from me in the Netherlands.
Oh, well, thank you. And again, especially for all of you that are literally all around the world, I would have never guessed in my wildest dreams that I would have so many friends, but also so many friends literally in every corner of our planet, and it does my heart good to be able to visit with you folks, and I just thank you. That's all I can say.
Tony suggests, how about rehabbed wings take flight?
Sure, absolutely,
And
absolutely. That's a good name.
Light Expeditions asked, is this the type Peregrine in central Arizona?
Yes, yeah. Most of the peregrines in the western states are the anatom. The Peel's peregrine we find up in the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, and the tundra. Most of the tundras come down the Atlantic flyway, and so it's but there are crossovers. So you might find a tundra peregrine where you'd normally find an anatom, and anatom where you may find a tundra, because there is some crossover with these migrations. But generally speaking, the anatom peregrine is the more westerly peregrine.
So we're coming to the last 10 minutes or so of our hour. Should we talk about the white-bellied bald eagle?
Well, there's not really much to talk about with the white-bellied bald eagle. We're still waiting for a decision from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as to what we will need to do with the white belly. So that's just a matter of time. And like I said before, it's the Fish and Wildlife Service. If it's not a priority thing, sometimes it takes an extensive amount of time before they get around to making a decision. I know I had a situation several years ago where it was just a renewal of an education permit, and it took them 5 years to renew a 3-year permit. So they've got lots of more important things to think about than my little wildlife rescue educational facility. But we keep every once in a while we keep reminding them that we're waiting for a decision.
So does there any effect on the white belly seeing all the other birds go through? Like you just put this new golden eagle in with the white belly. Does that matter? Is it company or are they kind of indifferent?
Well, they're mostly indifferent. They as long as there's you know a high quantity of food available, so that they don't feel that they have to compete for food. Uh, in most cases, the golden eagle and bald eagles have gotten along very well. Uh, if you get one that's a little cantankerous, and that's why when I do put a new eagle in to a flight chamber where there are previous eagles, then I basically want to make sure that I'm around for several hours. So if there's any disagreements between them, then I can get in there, make sure nobody gets hurt, and that's also why this new eagle flight chamber is going to be divided in half, so that we have two 20-foot wide, 100-foot long flight chambers. So that if I do have an eagle that is not sociable enough with the other eagles, that we can isolate it into one side of the flight chamber, where the other eagles can stay on the other side.
Is it all motivating for them to see another eagle come in and fly up to perches or fly around at all? Does it sort of like spur the white belly at all to do the same or?
Uh, well, the truth of the matter is the white belly, uh, because of its lack of feather growth, there really is nothing that it can do about it, and so all we can do is provide him with a variety of perch sizes at very low levels where he can walk over and jump on a perch.
KS asks, hawks and falcons fly in very stormy weather. How do they keep their eyes open going through strong rain and snow?
Well, birds of prey have three eyelids. They actually have an upper eyelid that closes down, a lower eyelid that will close up, and an inner eyelid that goes from side to side, called a nictitating membrane, and it works like a pair of goggles to protect their eyes when they're flying at high speed or hunting. And so birds of prey. I know there's the fantasy that that eagles fly up into the thunderstorms and fly in the most adverse weather conditions and those kinds of things. And I'll be honest with you, that's kind of romantic more so than truthful. They're going to use the warm rising air to gain altitude, but they are going to stay out of bad weather as much as they possibly can. And so they'll fly between the clouds at altitude. And if it's a really rainy or stormy or snowy day, then they're going to basically find some place they can perch and shelter until the storm passes. They don't go fly in storms. That's like I said, that's more of a romantic thought than truth.
M127 asks, is there a chance the white belly's eagle's feathers will start to grow?
That's our hope. My hope is when the hormones kick in for its adult plumage, because right now it's juvenile plumage. If it kicks in for its adult plumage, would those hormones kick in and start the feather growth? And the truth matters, I just don't know. I don't know if it will or not.
D says, so cute the head bobbing and listening to you.
Yeah, she is kind of an adorable little critter. Uh, she's such a sweetheart. Um, Again, her vision is poor, so she actually relies on my voice as comfort for her. And so when I'm doing programs and those kinds of things, and there's a large group of people, I with her probably more than any other bird that I work with, I start talking to her, and she acknowledges the sound of my voice seems to be soothing to her, and so she can't see things off in a distance, but I do find that we can sit here in my living room and have the television on, and even though she really can't see the television clearly, yeah, we had something in common for a long time. I couldn't see the TV clearly either, but even though she can't see the TV very clearly, the movements and the lights um, was of interest to her, and right now she's actually showing a curiosity looking at the computer screen as to I'm sure she doesn't understand what the colors are, but it does draw her attention.
Okay, so Teresa is here, and she's actually using a different name. She's using Jason because she's at church, and she's the one that sent in the question that we started with. So I think she must have missed it. So why don't we go back and revisit the her question about the hood? Could an optometrist scan Helen's eyes to get the curvature and then design lenses that could put into a lightweight hood to improve her eyesight?
Well, and that would be very, very difficult. And some of the reasons that it would be very difficult is when you put a hood on a bird of prey, when they get bored, they will oftentimes try to kick the hood off. And so if you had glasses inside the hood so that she would look out these holes in the hood, when she gets her foot up there and starts scratching at the hood to get it off her head, it's just going to scar up and completely destroy the lenses. And so that's probably not a real doable thing. And again, it would be one of those things that the hood would have to be on her pretty much all the time. And again, that she's really as you can see, she's very, very happy. Um, I would, I do hood my birds in stress situations, but when they're not in stress situations, I want them unhooded. And so I think it would just be a problem for her. Though it's an idea that I've thought of, and it's a great idea, but I don't think she would tolerate it.
So we're up. Our time's up.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. That's my book, Healer of Angels. If you like animal stories, that's 40 years of wildlife rescue stories and the wisdom of grandparents. And the eagle on the front cover is Scout, my golden eagle. And on the inside of the front cover, Scout has autographed the book. There's actually his footprint. And so it's the only book autographed by a wild eagle. You can order them off our website, gowildlife.org. And again, thank you everybody for your good wishes and prayers for my eyes. Again, things are going very, very well. Um, Next Thursday, I go in for the left eye, and to get it done, and then hopefully uh, within the next month or so, I will have fairly close to normal vision, and we're looking forward to that. So thank you everybody, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.